Okay, so we'll start with some introductions. So thank you all so much for joining. Hello and welcome to our webinar on 5 nearly free hacks that will skyrocket your patient numbers. So an exciting topic for any of our clients or potential clients or anyone that has their own practice. It's always a great idea to boost your patient numbers. So we're so excited that you're here joining us, and we can't wait to dive into this topic. So some housekeeping announcements. Please feel free to have your camera on. We would love to see you if you're comfortable with that. And then also, please go ahead. I see everyone is muted right now. So please keep your microphone muted unless you are actively asking a question during the presentation. We will have a question and answer segment at the end. So please feel free to unmute during that time to ask any questions that you have. You're also welcome. We have a chat function, so you can also write any questions that you have throughout in the chat function. I'll make note of that, and then I will ask those questions on your behalf at the end of the presentation. We would love for this to be interactive. So Amanda has chunked out this presentation for us. So there's going to be some times throughout for you to ask questions as well if you have any that pop up while we are going through the presentation. So feel free to ask any questions during that time as well. And then if you are not a current client and you are in need of a collaborating physician, please stay on at the end of the webinar just for a few minutes so I can give you some more information about collaborating docs and some great things and everything that we're about. So I will introduce myself first and our team here, and then introduce Amanda, and then we will dive in. So my name is Alex Gonzalez. I am the Director of Client Success here with Collaborating Docs. I'm also a nurse practitioner. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Jasmine. I am also a nurse practitioner and one of the senior client success representatives on the Collaborating Docs team.
Thanks, Jasmine. And so we are so honored to have Amanda Guarniere here with us to teach us how to skyrocket our patient numbers. Amanda is the Director of Growth here with Collaborating Docs. She's also the founder of the Resume RX and is a resume and career expert. She also owns her own successful practice in Connecticut. So she's a wealth of knowledge for this topic and probably a dozen other topics that might relate. So we're so excited and honored to have her. I will let her introduce herself a bit more, and then we can get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda. It's such a pleasure to be in the hot seat presenting for you today. When we were brainstorming topics and Alex asked if I'd be interested in presenting on some patient acquisition ideas, the juices just started flowing, and it was really, really fun and exciting to put together this presentation and really dive into 5 ideas that you can implement to increase your patient numbers that aren't going to break the bank. And pretty much everything here is nearly free. It may take some of your time and some of your effort and some sweat equity, as they say, but we're not talking about thousands of dollars of marketing activities here. These are all things that are very doable, very actionable. So excited to dive in. I'll kind of give you a bit more of an intro to myself in a moment, just so that you can see our agenda here and get a little bit of a preview. I'm going to break each hack down one by one. We're going to start by talking about community speaking opportunities. We'll talk about your Google business listing. We'll talk about flyers, road signs, business cards, strategic relationships with other practitioners, how to engage on social media, and then, of course, we'll have time for Q&A. I really want to cover some actionable things for you to be able to do in your practice, whether or not you have an active practice, whether you are thinking about starting. So please think of questions as we go. And I'd love to use the chat. So if you want to start, maybe introduce yourself in the chat, what state you're in. And I'd really love to know, do you already have your own practice, or is this something you're planning for the future? Because that will really help me know where you're at so we can tailor the presentation to who's here in the room. A little bit about me. Thank you, Alex, for the introduction. I am the current Director of Growth here at Collaborating Docs. I am also a nurse practitioner for the past 13 years. I'm dual certified as an adult NP and a women's health nurse practitioner. Collaborating Docs is my full-time role, and as Director of Growth, I oversee all of our marketing efforts as a company and all of our strategic relationships with other companies and businesses and referral partners. So I definitely have a lot of knowledge from that side of things. And also I have knowledge from building my own practice on the side to bring to this presentation as well. So this will be a good kind of combo of what's worked in all arenas to really give you some great ideas moving forward for patient acquisition. So we are going to start by talking about community speaking opportunities. These are in no particular order, and I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed by 5 different things. You don't necessarily have to go out and start doing all 5 all at once. So as we're going through, I want you to think of the ones that kind of speak to you a little bit, that seem applicable to you and your community and your practice, so that at the end, your action items are really going to be focused on maybe 1 or 2 of these. So when we talk about community speaking opportunities, this is an opportunity for you to position yourself as a trusted expert by offering free talks at local venues. So the whole idea here is for free, you are doing a value exchange. So you are going to show up as a trusted expert, as a speaker on a particular topic that might be relevant to your practice. And in exchange for you providing that value, you get to be in front of an audience of some sort. So to be more specific, we're talking about local libraries, senior centers, schools, fitness centers, and gyms, that type of thing. So start thinking about, what's in your community as opportunities where you could try to get one of these speaking engagements. And to kind of break down the action steps a little bit further, first you're identifying local venues, which we talked about in the previous slide. And when you're thinking about what you can speak about, I want this to be a really strategic decision for you. So if you are focusing on care planning for older adults or medication management for older adults, for example, maybe the local senior center is a great place where you can pitch doing a workshop or some sort of informational presentation about how to inventory your prescriptions once a month or something like that, right? So the talk that you're going to give is going to be educational and informational for members of the community. Managing chronic conditions, which I put on the slide, is another good example. And it's not going to be a sales pitch for your business, but rather an opportunity for you to get some visibility. And then at the end or at the beginning, when you're introducing yourself, hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a nurse practitioner and the owner of this business down the street or this business in town. And today I'm going to talk about something that's important to my community, and you provide a lot of value. And then at the end, you can end your presentation by saying, if you're in need of these services, or if you're an older adult and you'd like to talk to me a little bit more, I'll stay after the presentation, or you can hand out your business cards or something like that. You could offer a free consultation. The idea is to hopefully get some business from this group. Even if it's 1 or 2, this could potentially turn into a good seeding of patients for your practice. So, as you approach this, definitely do some brainstorming. You certainly want to figure out who to reach out to. And I always recommend starting with your own community because you tend to be well connected here. Other places that I didn't put on the list would be like places of worship. So if you're well connected with a church, for example, a church that puts on some programming, or a church that needs, the community nurse or a healthcare person, right? Putting yourself in that role then gives you even more of an opportunity to say, oh, and by the way, I accept patients at my practice for this. Would you like to come see me? Or putting your business card out, or sometimes even an exchange. So to go along the lines of the church example, hey, I'll give a talk for the church about high blood pressure. And in exchange, can I, put my business card in the church bulletin for the next month, which is usually something that they charge for, right? So don't be afraid to kind of be creative and think about the things that could really help your business. And rather than paying for them, maybe offering a value exchange instead. I'd love to give a case study of how this worked for me really well. So the focus of my practice here in Connecticut, do a little bit of aesthetics, but mostly weight loss, and some skincare medicine as well. So I'm part of a local mom group that puts on some sort of event once a month, whether it's a movie night or a wine tasting, things like that. And when I joined, I made sure that the person who ran the group knew my business and what I could speak on and what I could offer. And, casually had said, hey, if you ever want to do, I could do a talk on, your skincare routine or something like that, like I'd be happy to. So I ended up getting invited to be the host of 1 month's mom's night. And so I think the topic we said was, how to refine your skincare routine, or like all about the steps of your skincare routine, which was a really great kind of foot in the door for a bigger conversation about all of my services. So I brought some samples of some skincare products that I recommended. I went through kind of what are the essential steps that you need in your skincare, answered questions like, do I really need a vitamin C serum? And just let everyone ask whatever questions they wanted. And then I also gave a little pitch, had my business cards that I handed out and, said, here's what I offer in my practice. Happy to answer any questions. And immediately after, I did not hear anything. I did not book one appointment. People were curious and they asked me questions about it. But in the immediate short term, nothing. But since then, and I did this talk probably a year ago, 2 of the 10 participants that were there at the mom's night became weight loss clients of mine. They each contacted me separately and privately. And it was probably within 3 to 6 months of doing that talk. They're both still active clients of mine. It's resulted in under $4,000 of top line revenue so far. So that was a small effort with a small audience that had a great return. So you don't necessarily need to look for opportunities that are going to put you in front of hundreds of people, right? Even an opportunity in front of 10 people is going to be an intimate enough environment where they can get to know you enough, you can answer their questions, and for those that your services might be a good fit for, they can then decide to move forward with you. Before we go on to hack number 2, definitely want to pause and see if there are any questions specific to community speaking engagements. I've been seeing the chat rolling, but I haven't been reading it.
I had one quick comment, not a question, but I love this idea. A friend of mine, I helped her present, but we did something similar, same. She does aesthetics and hormone replacement therapy in Florida. And I just went as an NP support system, but it was in our Pilates class. So we go to a local Pilates.
Oh, nice.
She did the same thing because, wellness oriented, presented a skincare routine, brought samples, and it was, again, a small, intimate group, about 8 to 10 people, but a lot of them have friends. So like one of them became a client of hers, and they had 5 friends over time that were also, referred to her. So, she didn't get all 10 people that was in that group, but the word of mouth traveled, but it was because of that one, 20-minute effort and presentation. So I love the idea. You can get creative in your local groups and your local areas. And, if it's something that aligns with the group that you're speaking with, it can go very far.
Totally. I completely agree. And good point about the referrals from people. I didn't even count. Each of those people has since referred me someone else. So I suppose that I could attribute that to the business generated from this activity as well. And, think about, depending on the type of practice that you have, you might have a locally focused practice. You might have a telehealth practice. And so a lot of the questions that I get sometimes are, well, how can I make this applicable to my telehealth practice where I see people, across an entire state? You can still start small. You can still start locally. And also like draw a radius of where you'd be willing to travel, or communities where you have some connections, because if this strategy works, if you're going for senior center or library or whatever it is, you can rinse and repeat, because guess what? Most towns have a senior center. Most towns have a library. You can find that pocket of ideal audience in nearly every community that you go to. And it'll be a lot easier to seed a practice with local word of mouth, kind of grassroots initial patients, even if you're going for a statewide telehealth practice. So, just to kind of use that as an example, I've seeded my practice locally. I'm licensed in 2 states, so I see patients in 2 states. And pretty much everyone has come from my local community, but this word of mouth reach, and also Google SEO, which is a different category, can really expand that reach. And then, every time you're talking to someone, hey, do you have a friend who might want to do this with you? Or I'm really appreciative of referrals of your friends and family. Like, just letting them know, reminding them, asking them to share that you're accepting new patients. You can kind of start a word of mouth chain wherever you have like a little pocket of patients. Great. So let's move on to number 2. We're going to talk about optimizing your Google business listing. So if you already have a practice, please let me know in the chat, do you have a Google business listing yet? Because I'm obviously going to tell you that you need one for sure. So your practice needs to be easy to find online in multiple different ways. But Google My Business, or Google Business Listing is actually what it's currently called, is a free, powerful tool for local visibility. So what is your Google Business Listing? So if you're an iPhone user or any phone user, whenever I go anywhere, I use Google Maps on my phone. I don't know if that's a millennial thing. I don't know if there's a newer way people are doing it. But Google Maps is my tried and true on my computer, on my phone, when I'm getting directions, but also if I'm looking for something. So don't tell my kids, but we're getting a puppy this weekend. And so now I need to find a dog groomer. So I'm first going to go to Google Maps and look for dog groomers, and also look for recommendations on Facebook groups. But your business, if it doesn't exist on Google Business, I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but it's not going to be as powerful as it could be for people who are looking for whatever problem you solve. Whether you're an aesthetics practice, whether you're primary care, whether you have a house calls business, whether you have an urgent care, whatever it is, even if you're, a mental health telehealth provider, right? Make it easy for people to stumble upon your business listing, even if they've never heard of you before. And that, this category that we're talking about, this category of marketing, really falls under SEO, or search engine optimization, which means, if I'm going to Google and I type in, mental health provider near me, if you're ranking on that first or second page, that means you have good SEO. And the same thing applies to Google Maps. So if I type in on Google Maps, mental health provider, yes, it's going to show people local to me, but it's also going to favor people who have a business listing, and have a business listing that's complete with reviews. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide, because here I've got some step-by-step on how to outline, how to create your Google business listing. So it's easy. You can go to Google and search Google Business Profile. And there'll just be a button that says, claim your business, set up your business, something like that. You'll link it to a Google email address, most likely. It'll prompt you to add your hours. You can add photos, contact information, your phone number, the services that you offer, it's actually pretty advanced. You can even push out promotions, and there's an updates feed and things like that. You want to have pretty much every section complete in some way. If you have a location independent business, meaning if you are a telehealth company, or if you have mobile services and you don't want to link this to your home address, there is a way to link it instead to a zip code. It makes it a bit more challenging for telehealth companies that are servicing the entire state, but it is possible. So when you get it complete, you want to add photos at minimum, a photo of the door, or the window, wherever your signage is, a photo of your signage, a photo of your waiting room, a photo of your treatment room, something so that people understand that this is a real place, that they can vet with their eyeballs before they interact with you. And then the next thing that is super, super important is patient testimonials. So if you already have patients and you're just creating your business profile, tag those patients that you have a good relationship with. Be like, hey, hope you've been really pleased with our service. I would so appreciate a rating and review from you on Google. Send them the link. It's easy to do. And hopefully you can get some testimonials started, because basically the profiles that are highly tapped and have high reviews and a lot of reviews are going to show up first above things that don't have any reviews. So you can see how someone who's maybe new to town or looking for a service could easily find you, having never heard of you before. So it's totally separate from word of mouth if you have a nice optimized Google business listing. Another thing that you can, there are courses that you can pay for to figure out how best to optimize your Google business listing beyond the basics. You can actually use ChatGPT and say, pretend that you are an expert local marketer and outline the steps for me to have a really highly ranked Google business listing, and see what it tells you to do. That's one of my favorite ways to utilize AI and ChatGPT in marketing, is prompting it to tell me how to make something better. So I'll pause. Any questions on Google Maps, Google Business Listing, questions about the utility of this, or whether this has been something that's been helpful for anyone?
Nurse Rose is active in our chat right now. Thank you. She said this has been helpful and such a good idea. And I agree. I live on Google Maps, so that's what people use, or at least I use it. You said you use it, so definitely important to consider with Google.
Yes, absolutely.
I can offer an anecdotal little tidbit. My mom is a therapist in Richmond, and she did not have the Google business listing. And so she sought help, listed it, and got like 3 new patients the first week that it was up and running.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And also not surprising. Like that's how good this,
Right.
this effort is. And it's free. It is free. It's really worth the time that it takes to get things set up, get photos uploaded, and then kind of remembering to ask patients for reviews. Like they make some cool little things that you could put, if you have a brick and mortar, you can like put something on your desk, like a QR code, leave me a review. You can't incentivize people to leave a review. That's like a big no-no. If Google finds out, they'll get really mad at you. So you can't say like, leave me a review and I'll give you $25 or something like that. But you can always ask, and as your practice gets more advanced, you can build this into certain workflows that you have. So if you have an email list provider or some sort of automated thing that goes out after your appointments with people. Sometimes that's where you can also ask for a review so that you don't have to remember. There's tons of ways to kind of automate this, which is reputation management is what it's called. And the other thing too is you can respond to reviews. So when you get a review, it's good practice to, as your business, respond and say, "Hey, Alex, thank you so much. So glad you had a wonderful experience at our med spa," or whatever it is. So that's a good habit to get into as well. And, hopefully no one gets negative reviews, but keep in mind, like if you do, it's an opportunity for you to see where you can improve and show some emotional intelligence, responding to someone and say, "Thank you so much for pointing that out about your experience. Like, here's what we're going to do to make things better in the future." So kind of keeping that in mind. I don't think it'll be pretty rare for anyone to go through their whole business life and never have a negative review. So don't take it personally, take it as a learning opportunity and move forward. All right, so hack number 3 is flyers, road signs, and business cards. Basically like things on paper. So we're shifting away from digital world and going into more of the tried and true on paper marketing. It really still has its place in growing a local practice and even seeding a telehealth practice as well. Because like I said, one of my biggest pieces of advice for telehealth practices is to start locally. So what can you use? You can use flyers. So kind of 8.5 by 11 or bigger poster size. This is an opportunity for you to announce your business, highlight your services. Maybe you have a new patient offer. If you have something attractive to kind of get them in, that's aligned with your service. So, maybe it's a free 30-minute consultation. If you're doing something that's like a consultative type practice, whether it's mental health or weight loss, excuse me. If you're offering, a service like, aesthetic services, maybe you're offering something that's low cost to you for free to get patients in the door. I've seen like med spa practices offer like free B12 injections because the cost of goods is so low that it kind of gets them in the door, gives you the opportunity to give a bit of a pitch in person, that type of thing. You can put all that on a flyer and we'll talk on the next slide, like where to distribute. Road signs, these are like the same thing as political campaign signs. So, they're like the size of your computer monitor or a little bit bigger. They've got the little stakes that go in the ground. And this is funny. I've been dying to try this. I haven't actually tried it. So if anyone has, let me know. Maybe I will just for the sake of research. But I take my kids to a gym class every Monday night, and the route that I go crosses the train tracks. And as always, when I turn the train over the train tracks, there's a sign that says like laser hair removal and brows or something. It's some sort of like beauty service. And it's a pink sign and it's in like bubbly letters and all it has is a phone number. And I've always been really curious whether that really works for them. It's on kind of like a public place, so they don't really have to worry about it getting taken down. But I also have recently seen like a neon one for another type of service in someone's front lawn. And these are eye-catching. Like they're not common when you're driving. They're not common enough that you are kind of like not seeing them. They're uncommon enough that when you do see them, it's a disruptor, and it needs to be, bright, eye-catching, and have not a lot of information on it because people are usually driving. So some sort of phone number or, memorable website can be really helpful. But like I said, I really want to try this one so I can actually have a good case study about efficacy of lawn signs. But people still use them, which means it still works for plenty of things. Business cards, always have them on you. Always be ready for networking. Can't tell you how many times I've regretted not having a stack of business cards in my pocket for multiple different ventures, not just for my practice. So some people are fancy and have like a digital business card. That's cool. But a good paper business card, like people will use them. Like I have one here from someone who I met that I want to email, and then I keep my own here, like right within reach, so that I am reminded to take them with me. And on your business cards, that's like good real estate where you can have an offer. You can, on the back, you could do a refer a friend type of bonus or promotion. So I've handed out business cards before to patients. On the back have said, give this to a friend and your friend will get, $50 off their first treatment or whatever. So you can really come up with all sorts of different creative marketing campaigns. And they tend to be nice and effective because, especially for word of mouth, you want your patients to have a couple so that they can keep one for themselves and give some away, because depending on the services that you're offering, plenty of things take off by word of mouth, and making it as easy as possible to spread the word is super helpful. So where are we going to distribute flyers and signs? So flyers, obviously you need to know the rules of the board that you're putting it on, but some common places that tend to have community boards would be coffee shops, gyms and fitness centers, like community locations. So if your town or city has a community center or a rec center, that type of thing, our grocery stores have them. Our local Dunkin' Donuts has them. So some of them will have limits of what you can put up there, but a lot of them don't. So especially if it's someplace where you go once a week, check in on it, make sure it hasn't been taken down. Feel free to replace it, and check out what else is on there, because I think more people look at that than you might realize. And then lawn signs near busy intersections and close to your clinic. I'm not up to date on all the rules of where you can and cannot place a sign on property that you don't own. That's probably going to be regulated by, a local municipality. So, I would recommend looking up those rules, or just understand that whatever you put out likely could be taken down if you're breaking those rules, or if you have to ask permission. But if you have any, friends or connections who own businesses and might allow you to put it on there, or if there's any road frontage of your own business, then that's an opportunity to put a lawn sign, or even one of those like wind, what are those called? I don't know, the big ones that kind of fly in the wind. Or I mean, you could really go out and have one of those like blow up people guys, but I'm mostly kidding. But wherever you can put a lawn sign, take advantage of it. And then business cards, always have some on hand for sure. We are going to move on to number 4, unless anyone has any questions. Okay, so hack number 4, strategic relationships with other practitioners. This is a big topic, and a big opportunity, really, I should say. But I tried my best to kind of break it down as much as possible into some actionable, approachable steps. So partnering with different complementary practitioners or facilities to share patient referrals or recommendations and resources can be really, really powerful. So this is going to be super dependent on what type of services you're offering, and we can kind of dive into some specifics. But in general, thinking about potential partners, you're trying to think about people who share clientele, okay, that aren't in direct competition. So people who offer directly competing services likely are not going to want to partner with you. So, if I own a med spa, I'm not partnering with another med spa, right? But chiropractors, physical therapists, fitness trainers, nutritionists, it really depends on, sorry for the typo, it depends on your focus. One thing that I talk about a lot with our mental health NPs who we help with, when they're getting started, I tell them to go to Google Maps, my favorite place. And I say to, bring up a radius of where you can physically travel and search for all the primary care, internal medicine, pediatric, and sometimes even OB providers in that area. And especially if any of those are your main focus as a mental health provider. Make a list and go door to door with a stack of your flyers, or make like a referral pull-off sheet. You can get those, you can design that online in Canva for free. You can print it through Vistaprint for like $10. Because what does every primary care provider love? They love a mental health prescriber who has availability, right? So like pretty much every primary care provider, I know when I was working in primary care, like I would kiss your feet if you came in and you said, hey, I'm a mental health NP, I do brief psychotherapy and also prescribe for all these conditions. Like I would bow down. So that is just going to be a tremendous source of referrals. So think about that and how it's applicable to your area of expertise. To think about, where is this overlap of either practitioners who need your help or practitioners who offer kind of similar overlapping practitioners that your patients also see, basically, right? So kind of bringing it back to an earlier, like what Alex was saying about Pilates, right? So like people who go to a med spa and invest in aesthetic treatments, very likely to also go to Pilates or go to a gym or go to a sauna studio or, get their brows waxed or get their hair done, right? Thinking of all the different services that they take advantage of and who can you connect with in the community that also offers those services, and say, introduce yourself, just a friendly connection to start, and then potentially test the waters with, hey, would you ever want to do an event together? Or, hey, what do you think about me? I'd love to put your business cards in my office. Would you put my business cards in your office? Right. So like my kid's hairdresser has had my business cards on her little desk thing for months. And she was so kind, and of course I'll put your, I love you, whatever, I love your kids. Of course I'll put your business card here. And she ran out, she's passed them all out. And now a year later, after giving her my business cards, she's now my patient and she's referred at least 5 patients to me. So it's like these things that can be slow to start, but can have a really long impact over time. So think about it and how it's applicable to your specific niche. So action steps here would be to identify some complementary practitioners in your area, and then offer cross-referral deals, offer to host joint events. One thing to be aware of, so this is kind of like an alarm bell, fee splitting is unethical everywhere and illegal most places. So what is fee splitting? Fee splitting is if you're a nurse practitioner and I'm a nurse, if we're both medical providers, essentially. So let's use the psych mental health example. So if I'm a psych mental health provider and I go into an internal medicine physician office and ask for referrals, if there's any sort of monetary exchange between us, if I say, oh my gosh, thank you, I'm going to give you $25 for every patient you send my way, that's a no-no. So that's unethical everywhere and illegal in many states. So just kind of keep that in mind. So try not to have monetary exchanges between yourself and those other practitioners. Try to instead offer, like, I'll offer a discount to your people, you offer a discount to my people, that type of thing. So that's just a little bit of an FYI. And then otherwise think about how you can provide value through different partnerships, whether it's co-branded webinars, workshops, physical events, or in-person events, that type of thing. Awesome. So questions before we go on to number 5? All right, super. So social media, another super big topic, but we're going to bring it down to like really small action items here. Social media is a place where you can build digital relationships with local community and hopefully generate buzz for your practice. So this is a really similar approach to number 4, which is complementary partnerships in your community. But in this case, we're really leveraging social media for this. So platforms to use would be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So these are places where you can join local groups. So like my town has a town 411 group, for example. There are also local business groups. So there's, this town business and whatever group. So looking into all sorts of groups. If you have a target clientele, see if there's a group for that in your area or even nationally. So I'm in my town's mom group and also my county's mom group. And a few weeks ago, someone posted, which I was so shocked because I haven't really seen a lot of this in like local town. Does anyone know someone who prescribes tirzepatide for weight loss or whatever? And so I commented, I kind of raised my hand like, hi, I'm local mom. I do this, and that person is now my patient. There's like a national group that one person owns, that's all about weight loss on GLP-1s. And so I'm in that group. And when people ask questions, I provide helpful, valuable answers, right? And then sometimes when applicable, I'll say like, I am a prescriber in Connecticut and New York. And then that's generated a handful of patients for me. So it's an opportunity to connect with patients, but also to connect with different providers as well. Instagram is really great for that. Pretty much, lots of businesses and other practices and complementary practitioners will have Instagram profiles. So follow them, engage with what they're posting. Shout them out, tag them, provide value, give more than you take. But there might also be an opportunity for a cross referral, or you might see someone in the comments of a post of theirs asking about something that you do, and you can kind of, lay those organic, that organic spider web that way. And then in terms of what you're posting, you can post behind the scenes, post about your success stories, give an overview of your services. You don't have to go above and beyond here when it comes to posting, because social media could easily be all that you do. But what's important is you have some sort of presence on social media, because at least these days, a lot of consumers, a lot of patients, depending on the niche, are going to like verify that you exist online, whether it's on Google business listing or social media, before making a decision to engage with your business. So some quick wins on social media, using local hashtags. So, hashtag Reading, Connecticut health, hashtag, Fairfield County wellness. Look to see what hashtags are being used in your area and use them when applicable on your own posts. You can share patient testimonials, always with permission, of course. Promote local events that you're participating in. Like I said before, follow and engage with potential partner practitioners and events. And another one of my favorite efficiency hacks is using ChatGPT to help with content creation and planning. You can literally ask ChatGPT to come up with, however many posts that you want, themed in whatever way, to help plan out ideas, especially if you're someone like to whom this does not come easy. So content creation and ideas about what to post can come super easy to some people, and for others, and this doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or that it's an indicative of your business success, but some people just kind of don't know where to start when it comes to creating social media content. So don't make it hard on yourself, outsource it. And the best free way to outsource getting some help in this area is using ChatGPT, because it is free. Awesome. Well, questions about social media. I know that we kind of just scratch the surface there, but in the interest of time, I want to leave some time for some Q&A. I will kind of recap and then wrap things up, and then we can do some questions. So what did we go over today? We went through these 5 nearly free hacks that can really make a big difference in your patient numbers. So we started by talking about free community speaking opportunities. So positioning yourself as a trusted expert in a health area so that you can hopefully interact with members of the community and generate some patients. We talked about the importance of being present on Google, specifically your Google business listing, and how to optimize that. Talked about flyers, road signs, and business cards, and how those still are alive and well and thriving, even in a digital marketing age. Strategic relationships with practitioners, both in person and also on social media, can really help boost your business as well. So like I said at the beginning, lots of information here, right? You could really take up all your time and divide your time among 5 different efforts. But I think what will be really impactful and what I want to leave you with is the action item to pick 1 or 2. Pick 1 or 2 of these strategies and decide to start implementing them. Hopefully there's 1 or 2 that resonated with you, that you feel like you can dedicate good time and effort into to see the return on those efforts. And, once you feel like you've gotten in a good groove and you've got 1 effort kind of on autopilot, so to speak, or maybe 1 didn't work well for you, then move on to something else. So I know a lot of us have so many priorities that we're juggling, right? Especially if you're just starting a practice, you might also still be working full time. So be kind to yourself and don't make things harder than they need to be. Pick 1 or 2 things to focus on, and then the rest will go from there. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water and then we can get into some questions and discussion.
Thank you so much. So yes, everyone, I open this to the floor. Please unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can go ahead and put it in the chat and I'll read it off for you. So if anyone has any questions, now's the time. And then I have some questions myself, but I want to open it up to our participants in our audience first. Okay, so I had a few questions that on the registration form, there was a little question box at the end for any questions that our participants had. So I'm going to ask those first. So these are from the people. So first question, this one's not so related to marketing, but definitely related to this whole topic is, I guess, how do you get past the nerves of starting your own practice? And then maybe we can do like a two-part and get past the nerves of putting yourself out there in the community and marketing yourself. That might be very scary for some people, especially doing it for the first time and, marketing yourself well and confidently.
Totally. I think that is such a great question. And I think for the majority of people, this will be uncomfortable. And if this is not at all uncomfortable for you, you are one of the lucky ones. and teach us your ways. No, it may just be kind of your nature. But I think what can really help is, if you're willing, first starting with people that you know. And getting comfortable with your warm network, even if it's just starting with your family, even if it's just practicing talking about it because you don't intend to have your family as patients, but getting comfortable, being excited and being confident about this new venture, and not shying away from drawing attention to yourself or what you're doing. And, obviously, depending on what your niche is and who your target clientele is, like, this might not be applicable, but, I read recently a great marketing book that talked about, like, literally letting everyone know about your new business or venture or practice, whatever it is, not with the intention of all those people becoming patients or clients, but saying, like, hey, if you know anybody who might need this service, like, here's what I do. Let me know if you have any questions, if I can send you some business cards. So you're not necessarily like trying to sell to everyone. And that's where some of the discomfort can come to, like if you feel like you're being salesy or something, just remember, like, try to hold it really close. What brought you to do this in the first place? Like, why are you opening this practice? What is the impact that you are hoping to have? What is inspiring you to do this? And leading with that and remembering that, keeping that in the forefront of your mind, I think will be super, super helpful. And will hopefully like help your shakiness as you get more comfortable. And then the other thing is just repetition, repetition, repetition. You just have to be comfortable like letting lots of people know. So try to tell 10 new people about it a day, even if it's over email, text, phone, whatever it is, like trying to do 10 a day, challenging yourself to do that. You'll get comfortable real quick.
Thank you. That's super, super helpful. We had another question in our registration form. So this one's an interesting one. How do I attract more self-pay clients? Is there a way to market, self-pay clients or a cash-based practice? Are there, best practices to doing that versus taking insurance?
Yeah. This really depends on kind of who you're marketing to, like who your intended audience is, and the services that you're providing. And, if you're offering a service that your patients will also have insurance for, how are you going to make it different, right? Like, how are you going to position your service to convince me not to use my insurance, but rather do your thing? I think that's the harder decision to make, right? If I'm a women's health provider, and I'm offering like a concierge women's health experience, how am I going to set it apart? How is my offering going to stand out? Because otherwise, if someone could just go use their insurance card and I'm just offering the same exact service, like people aren't necessarily going to pay for that, right? So you really need to differentiate yourself and figure out how you're going to differentiate yourself. And then also research your audience. If you're struggling to get cash pay patients in your cash pay practice, then not enough people know about you. Or you have a problem with your offer, or you have a problem with your pricing. So trying to kind of workshop what the problem is before you kind of decide this isn't working. So have enough eyeballs seen your offer, right? Have you gotten in front of enough people? Like if you've had 20 calls, if you've had 20 free consultation calls with people and no one has enrolled in your cash pay service or program, then it's not an eyeballs problem. It's either an offer or a price problem. So you kind of have to think like a scientist and create a hypothesis and kind of figure out where the breakdown is. Because all those things can likely be fixed, because it's likely just a matter of, the offer, the price, for the eyeballs.
Perfect. Thank you. That's super helpful, and great question to whoever asked that one. That's a really, really helpful question. Great. So we are about at time. I do see a couple other questions in the chat. Alexandra Mendoza says, what are some helpful tips to start your own mental health practice with a PMHNP? And then we have some other comments in here as well. So in the interest of time, I can send you some tips afterwards in an email. I have all your emails for registering, but we are just at time. So thank you everyone for joining us. For those that have joined late, I know there was the slight email debacle on the back end of things. So thank you guys for joining. We will be sending out the recording of this to everybody that pre-registered. So if you did join a bit late, don't worry about it. We have this whole presentation has been recorded, and we will be sending it out to everyone that registered with the registration form. So we will be able to share that with you all. But thank you so much, Amanda, for your time today and putting this wonderful presentation together. I feel like these were all very practical, applicable pearls of wisdom and great ways, especially for people starting their own practices in the beginning. So they might not have a marketing budget or a large marketing budget. So how helpful is it to have, nearly free tips, especially if you focus on one or two, and just get started marketing. And like you said, a lot of these hacks are some that bear fruit along the way. So get out there, get started with some of these ideas, and you'll see it, pay off. Maybe some right away, maybe some in 6 months, some in a year, and like how great some effort right now will continue to bear fruit for you. So love that so much. So as I said in the beginning, if you are a current client, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you're doing well, and let us know if there's anything you need. And then if you are not a current client and you want to stay on for a few more minutes, I just want to give you some more information about collaborating docs. So thank you again for joining our webinar. I hope you found this interesting. If you are planning your own practice and you are in a state that requires a collaborating physician, I'd love to share the top 10 reasons of why you should use collaborating docs to find your collaborator. So first, we are a very personalized service. So we have, we're an NP-led team of onboarding members and our client success team. So we personalize everything to you, to your practice niche, to what you're offering. And then, everything we do is personalized and geared towards you and what you're going to be offering. And then we also provide the malpractice for your physician. So you don't have to worry about adding that onto your plan. And that is already covered. And the physician comes already with their own policy. We also provide the legal agreements for the collaboration. So you do not need to hire an attorney to drop that. We do that for you. And in that agreement, we do provide state-specific guidance. So depending on the state that you're practicing in, our legal team has put together a great document for your state collaboration rules. So you have all of the information there for you, for your state, especially if you're practicing in multiple states. It's very helpful to see the legislature and the legal rules and regulations in your state related to collaborating. Our contracts are not long-term, which is great. So they are essentially month to month in that you can cancel at any time. You're not locked in for a certain amount of time. And then we also have no hidden fees. So we have a flat rate, which you're presented in your first onboarding call with one of our NPs on our team. So you know exactly what you're going to be paying month to month. And then, there's no hidden fees. That's exactly what you're going to be paying, which is nice. We also do free rematching. So if you ever have an issue with your doctor or something happens with your doctor, we will rematch you with a new one for free. So you're always managed. You'll never have a gap in coverage. And so you don't have to worry about that part of it. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, we are NP-led. So our onboarding team is all nurse practitioners. And then our support team, Jasmine and myself are also nurse practitioners. So we're here to help, and we understand what you're doing and can be here to give you, that personalized support. We are the industry leader. We actually just reached over 5,000 clients. We just hit our 5,000th recently. So we are, the main industry leader doing this, and we help in all 50 states, and we're very established, and we've been doing this for 4 years now. So it's been really wonderful helping so many people starting their own practices. And we've learned a lot doing that. So we're here to help and be, the experts for your collaboration needs. And we also, compliance is our priority. So we do make sure we do things the right way, the legal way, and that way you can have confidence in us finding your doctor for you. And finally, we have lots of happy clients. So we do on our website have testimonial videos of our clients that are happy. And so we, if you don't want to hear from me, go hear it from them. Check it out on our website so that you can hear from people that were really satisfied with our service. So I am going to put in the chat our website. So if you are interested, you can go to our website, and we have a calendar on there where you can book a call with our nurse practitioner onboarding team. So that is collaboratingdocs.com is our website, and our calendar's on there. And we would love to meet with you and tell you more and give you that personalized quote for our service. So thank you again, everyone. We're at time. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Again, I will be sending this recording over to you so you can review all of these things and start to implement some of these amazing nearly free hacks to bring more patients into your practice. And finally, thank you, Amanda, for joining us and for this amazing presentation. It was such a pleasure. And I hope you all have a great weekend, great Friday afternoon, and let us know if we can help you with anything. All right, take care.